Hey there, everyone. Welcome to our call this evening. My name is Leah, and my husband's supposed to be sitting next to me, David. Thank you for taking time out to be on this performance nutrition call this evening. I'm very excited that each of you are here, and I'm just as excited to have a really good friend of ours on the call tonight to share and educate us on what he has learned over his 26 years of Ironman coaching and racing. First off, I know from my own experience and from talking to a lot of others that nutrition and fueling is not the same thing. Just because someone is fit doesn't necessarily mean that they're healthy. So our speaker this evening is going to explain some simple strategies for getting the most out of your training, how to simplify your fueling strategies, and how to ensure you achieve maximum recovery so you can dramatically raise your training potential. So let me introduce to you our speaker. This guy has been an Ironman performance coach since 1990. He has coached people to over 1,400 Ironman events around the world and thousands of shorter distance events. He's worked with elite athletes. He's coached many other triathlon coaches, company executives, including Susan Dell from Dell Computers, and hundreds of age groupers. He's been Coach of the Year up in Canada, where he used to live. He is now living in Texas with his beautiful girlfriend, Michelle. His athletes have outright won the ITU World Age Group Championships from Olympic distances to long course distances, and has qualified dozens of people to the Ironman World Championships in Hawaii. And he also used to be quite the athlete himself when he was actively competing. He's earned his spot and raced in the Ironman Hawaii twice. His personal best Ironman time is 9 hours and 21 minutes. His personal best half Ironman time is 4 hours and 11 minutes. And half marathon of 1 hour and 11 minutes. I mean, that's pretty dang impressive. So please help me welcome our very good friend, Stephen Bentley.
Hey, thanks so much, Leah. That was a great introduction. When you say those race times, all I can think of is discomfort and pain. So anyways, let me share the screen here and we'll get started. And let's throw that into the slideshow. There we go. Okay, awesome. So this is me finishing Ironman Hawaii. There's the 9:21. I think I was 22nd overall in the race there. Yeah, I was happy because it was getting dark and I wanted to finish before the sun went down. At that time of year in Panama City Beach, that's what happens. So anyways, let's get at it because I know everybody's got a lot of things they want to do on a Thursday night. I'm going to quickly go through the overview of what we're going to talk about in the call tonight. I've got an hour, so I think it said initially about 8 to 8:30. I can't do anything half an hour, so we're sort of stretched out the whole hour. If you're jumping on the line, just throw yourself on mute, and that'll make the lines clear so I don't have to come off full screen to go find you and mute you out. But anyways, this is what we're going to be talking about today. So today we're going to be going over 4 factors to determine your training success. And then the fueling for the race. I'm going to get right into that so that we can talk about that. If you're just here to figure out how to do long course or endurance fueling nutrition, some people call it nutrition, I call it fueling. Then what we'll do is, you know what, just 1 second here. I am going to go find whoever is being noisy and just mute things out. Wow. There we go. Manage participants. I'll be right back on that. Mute all. There we go. Okay. Apologize for that. Let's go back to the slideshow. Perfect. Here we are. Okay. So here's the overview, fueling for the race. We're going to talk a little bit about that, and then I'm going to get into set the stage for why you need to eat a whole lot healthier than you probably are. And just about and the reason I say this is just about every single person I talk to says, yeah, I eat healthy. You might not be eating crappy foods that are really bad for you, but eating healthy is a completely different thing than not eating badly. And we're going to talk about that and why that's so important for dictating your overall performance, all right? Because we're going to talk about how training, the fueling part of what allows you to work out really hard, that's going to break your body down, create some physiological benefits that you're going to get from your training, but it's all the things you're doing outside of your training that's so critical in terms of how your body recovers from that, how your cells adapt to the stress of training. We're going to go over that on that section there. And then over the last small part of the call tonight, I'm going to talk about a simple solution I've been using for about 10 years. And what's actually prompted this call tonight is and I'm going to have Michelle come in on the line, and I'm going to do a quick Q&A with her to talk about why her performance has increased so dramatically since I started working with her, because we're going to go over a simple solution. You don't need to do that. You can take all the information in step 3 there, takeaway number 3, and try and apply that. I find that takes a lot of time, a lot of money, and it still won't work as well. It's finding simple solutions. So we're going to go into that. And then at the end, I'm sure we'll have some time. I'll stick around, answer any questions people might have. Okay, so training for performance. This is the type of thing that I've been doing for an awfully long time. This is Ironman Canada out in Penticton. I can't even tell you the year. That's me in the center there with the black hat and the sunglasses on. The shorter one, that's Gregory Rowe, a guy I used to coach over just to my left, out to your right. And one of the things that I'm going to be thinking about helping people is improving their performance in any way that they're looking for. Everybody's different. We're trying to help people get from where they are to where they want to be. And I always thought I was healthy, but I wasn't. I was fit, but I wasn't necessarily healthy. And the thing that started to really make me realize that is I'm 50 years old now, but back when I was in my 30s, I started hearing about guys like me who were fit like I was all through the time I was fit, starting to die of heart attacks, getting heart attacks, dying of heart attacks, having heart issues, things that weren't really things I wanted to be experiencing when I got later. And I would talk to people about that, people who knew them, and they go, yeah, he was really healthy. Well, what do you mean by healthy? Because he died of a heart attack. Like, what happened? Well, he was really fit, so we figured he was healthy. We don't know what was going on. So I just started to talk to more and more people and start to realize, yeah, just because I'm fit doesn't mean I'm healthy. And I really started to take a big notice of the food that I was putting into my body. And I started moving away from things that I could get away with eating and started looking at things that I needed to eat in order to get the most out of my training. And it really very quickly helped me improve my performance. I recovered faster. I felt better. Things were working better. And people have always known me as somebody who's been really lean, muscular, fit, healthy. And I wanted to maintain that. I didn't want to end up like so many people that were my size when they're in their 20s or 30s or 40s. Because I had so many people say to me, yeah, you're nice and lean now. Wait until you're 40. Wait until you're 50, right? I was just determined not to fall into that trap. So I really wanted to focus on health for health's sake, eating and getting better food into my body, but for better performance as well. So I wanted to try and combine the two. And one of the things that I've always done with my athletes is try and get them the best bang for their buck in terms of the number of hours that they're training. And one of the things that I've helped them with over the years is their nutrition, because I work with a lot of executives, like Leah mentioned. They don't have a lot of time. A lot of age groupers that I work with don't have a lot of time. They've got families, they've got kids, they've got work schedules that they have to deal with, and they don't want to have to worry about wasting time training. They want to get the most out of it. And I've done the same thing with food. So one of the things that I also want to help people do is get the most out of the food that they're bringing in by making sure that they're making healthier choices. And I don't mind if people eat burgers and fries, just as long as it's a healthier option. I'm not a health freak, right? I drink wine, I like gin, I like to have steak. I had steak and potatoes last night. I had chicken stir fry the night before. Like, I enjoy food. I just want to make sure that throughout the rest of the day, I'm getting some really good nutritional products into my body. We're going to talk about that later. But you really need to be your own advocate, because people who run the food companies, who are sharing these food systems with you, food products, whether it's a grocery store or restaurant, their motive isn't necessarily your health. That's your health. That's your motive. You need to be your own advocate for your health, because nobody else is going to care about your health more than you. So we want to make sure that you're focusing on that. So some of the things that athletes need to worry about is we typically have less body fat. And that's a key consideration, because when you're working out really hard, you're bringing in a lot of impurities. You're breathing more air than the normal person. You're drinking more water than the normal person. You're certainly eating more food. I've been a cross-country ski racer when I was in university, and I would pack away between 8,000 and 10,000 calories a day in food. when I was in university, back when I was in my late teens, early 20s. And I think about that now compared to how much food I eat now. And I'm like, man, that is unbelievable how I could eat that much food. But associated with that food, especially today, because it's so much different than it was 30 years ago when I was in school, the food system has changed. There's a lot more contaminants on it. So your body is bringing those impurities into your system, and you have less fat to buffer that stuff away. And that's where a lot of these impurities get stored away, is in actual body fat, especially visceral fat around your organs. Your body pulls it out of your system, packs it away at the fat cells, and it's a great system for storage because it gets it out of exposure to your body, but we don't want that hanging out there. So we also have more free radical damage. We need to eat more nutritionally dense foods than the normal person because we're creating more damage in our body. We want those building blocks. They're going to allow our body to recover, and we're going to get into that tonight. Recover from the training load that we put it under. Your performance is dictated not by how hard you can train, but how well you can recover. Because if you can't recover, your ability to train hard is going to be limited. So quickly, some of the things that I like to think about for me anyways, I want to look good and I want to feel good. That's why I train and work out, especially now. I don't race anymore, right? I want to have energy through the day. I don't want to be exhausted all the time from my training. I want to train so that I can stay looking and feeling good and also like the training, but I don't want it to exhaust me through the day. So many athletes I talk to, they're exhausted from their training. I don't like that, right? We want to gain strength. We've got a lot of athletes that I work with. I'm 50. A lot of people in my age group, they're just losing muscle all the time. Sarcopenia. We want to address that. We want to beat that. We want to get highly bioavailable proteins into our body. And body composition, right? As your body muscle mass goes down, that body fat starts cranking up. We want to arrest that as well. And then for sure, we want to make sure we have fun. So we don't want to be a martyr when it comes to eating healthy because we want to enjoy ourselves. And a lot of times when we go out for workouts with our friends, we want to go out and have a beer afterwards or something nice and fun to eat. But if you keep doing that all the time, the results of doing that are going to catch up with yourself. So here's the things that I talk about with my athletes all the time. And this is kind of cool because I've worked with so many athletes over the years. And one of the things sometimes people come to me is they go, I feel like I'm getting overtrained. And I go, I really don't think you're getting overtrained based on the training program I've got you on. Probably what's happening is you're under-recovered. So let's take a look at all the other things that's going on in your body, or in your life. Let's talk about hydration because that is a critical factor. What's going on with your sleep and recovery? We're going to talk about each of these three components here, well, even the four, because we're going to talk about the training. That what's happening with your sleep and recovery? How much sleep are you getting? And they go, I only need 4 hours of sleep. No, you don't only need 4 hours of sleep a night. You might be able to get by with and function on 4 hours of sleep, but your body needs more than 4 hours of sleep. And I don't care who you think you are. And if that's you listening in on this live or on a recording, you need more than 4 hours of sleep a night. You will suffer some serious consequences in the short term and for sure in the long term if you don't get an adequate amount of sleep. And nutrition, as I mentioned earlier, is not fueling, right? So many athletes think nutrition, I need to work on my nutrition during my racing. No, that's fueling. It has nothing to do with nutrition. Nutrition is all the micronutrients that your body needs, those building blocks that it's going to take to rebuild from all the training stress that you put it under. So those are the key things that we want to talk about. So very quickly, we're going to whip through some of this stuff because I got a lot of cool stuff I want to talk about later. But training creates that opportunity for growth, right? It's going to break your body down, and we want to allow that to create the potential for performance improvement. That's really where things are happening, right? We're going to increase our aerobic capacity, develop mitochondria, develop capillaries from that stress response that our body's going to go through. And it takes weeks sometimes for that to happen. I know when I help athletes rework their running technique, they are miserable for weeks until their body starts to kick in because it realizes you're not going to change the way you're doing things and it's going to adapt. So that's why the first few weeks of doing anything differently, it always sucks because your body's going through this adaptation process and it doesn't happen gradually. You don't go gradually better. It's just like nothing's happening. And then all of a sudden it cranks up. So you have to really buy into the fact that it is going to happen. So it's the recovery, those building blocks and the things that you do to allow your body to recover, allow it to build back up. And that's pretty key. You really want to focus in on that. Okay, so this is the fueling strategy I use. I mentioned I was going to get to it really quickly, and in the call tonight. So if this is all you want, you didn't have to stick around for the rest of the stuff. I hope you do, because it's some pretty good stuff that's going to dictate how hard you can train, because it's going to allow you to figure out your recovery. So this is what I figured out, and I'll tell you how I figured it out. As Leah mentioned, I've coached people to over 1,400 Ironman races, and I talk to so many people who are really good athletes, and they know what works for them. And typically they know what works for them on a particular situation. And if that's you and you're going to race in that particular situation all the time, awesome. And there's companies out there that will formulate a product that has a specific mixture of electrolytes and calories and maybe protein in there, whatever they think that you're going to need. That's awesome. I'm telling you right now, it's probably not going to work on every race situation that you do, because you're going to come into one race, maybe you got a bit of a stomach bug, or the humidity is different, or the heat is different, or the altitude is different, right? Or you're going to go at a slightly different pace, and you're going to go burn through more calories, or you're not going to go hard enough one time, and you're going to end up with too many calories in your stomach. So I always wanted to come up with something that was very adaptable on the go, and I was also tired of carrying a whole whack load of fuel with me. I wanted something that was really concentrated. So as you can see here, back when I was racing, it's been 10 years since I've done an Ironman, I use Carbo Pro. There's another product out right now that I'd like to try. It's called UCAN. I've heard great things about that. There's some other ones, but those are just the things that I've heard about. I used to use electrolyte capsules. We didn't have base salt when I was around, base performance electrolyte salts. I use them now because I'll use both. And I have salt sticks here, but I've used Succeed capsules. I've used Thermalite capsules. There's a lot of great products out there. Find what works for you. Right? I don't care what it is. I'm just giving you the concept of what I do. And this is actually Michelle's water bottle. I pulled it off her bike. And this is the strategy that we use. Her bike time is about the same as mine. It's about a little over 5 hours. I was about 5 hours in Ironman. She should be just a little over that. So as you can see, there's 10 marks on that bottle. So she figures she's going to go through about 300 calories an hour. So a scoop of Carbo Pro, for example, is 100 calories. So she's going to put 300 calories an hour times 5 hours. She's going to put 15 scoops of that Carbo Pro in that bottle. So put half it full of water, put those 15 scoops of Carbo Pro in there and fill it up. I do about 5 hours on the bike. I do about 400 calories an hour. I would jam 20 scoops of powder in that bottle. It's a thick syrup. And then every half hour, you want to be down to that mark. Now, it's different for everybody. And one of the things that you want to figure out is what's your upper limit, right? So I was just talking there about the Carbo Pro. That's the fuel mixture. And I'm going to talk specifically about how I fit all this onto the bike. But you want to figure out how much energy you can jam into your system per hour. So right here, you can see on line 4, I've got 400 calories an hour. I'm going to go through about 1,000 milligrams of sodium. And there's a lot of other electrolytes that you want. You want magnesium, potassium, calcium. Sodium's the big one. And I like to have an electrolyte capsule that's got a bunch of other little products in it. Some ginger is good for reducing the chance of your stomach getting upset. So look for products that work for you. Try them out in training. Don't be a stinge when it comes to spending money on this. It's really important that you get used to doing it and that you can adapt it to different situations. Because one of the things you're trying to figure out is what's the upper limit that you can handle. My upper limit's about 500 calories an hour. I start to get sick when I'm jamming 500 calories an hour into my stomach when I'm on the bike. I can't handle that much when I'm running. But when I'm on the bike, 500 calories an hour is about as much as I can handle. And it's about 1,400 milligrams of sodium. Then I start feeling really bad. And it's about 1 liter per hour that I can handle as my upper limit. Now, I don't want to go anywhere near that when I'm racing. So the other thing I want to find out is what's my lower limit? What's the least amount I can bring into my body and still perform at the level that I want? So if I'm riding my bike, it's 36 kilometers an hour. That's my 5-hour Ironman time. I want to figure out what is it that I need coming into my body to maintain that output, right? Because it's just fuel that's coming in. I need to fuel that furnace, right? And that's going to change over time. As I learn to burn more body fat as an energy source, I can rely less on carbohydrates. That's awesome. But where am I now? I got to figure that out. So it was about 500 calories an hour is my upper limit. About 300 an hour is my lower limit. If I started getting less than that after 3.5, 4 hours, I just had a hard time maintaining that pace. So I just pack it right in the middle. So we're at 400 calories an hour. It's going to be different for everybody. You need to figure out what's going to work for you. So same thing with the electrolyte capsules. I would go through one electrolyte capsule every 20 minutes. So, and that gave me about 1,000 milligrams of sodium an hour, plus a bunch of the other electrolytes. And then for water, about a liter of water per hour. That's the thing that really seemed to work for me. So you want to figure out what's going to work for you. Understand that this is fueling. This is nothing to do with nutrition. You can't say to yourself, I'm working on my nutrition, and then ignore your nutrition outside of this. And then the other thing that I really want to focus on helping you guys understand is starting every event with all of these topped up. We all hear about carbo loading. You can't really load carbo. You can replenish carbohydrates. Your body can only store about 2,000 to 2,500 calories of carbohydrates. You're going to have that in your muscles. You're going to have that in your liver. You're going to have some of that in your digestive system. So you can only store so much in your body. And when that runs out, you're done. So you want to make sure you've topped up. Everybody, I think, gets that they want to be topped up. You also want to do that with hydration, right? You want to make sure you're hydrated going into an event. We're going to talk about that on the next slide, I think. And then we also want to make sure our electrolyte levels are topped up, because a lot of people start events with their electrolytes really depleted. And one of the things that I'm going to talk about later is nutrition systems. It's going to be really good at helping bring minerals into your body. Almost every food that's available today is dramatically deficient in minerals. And they're so key. We're going to show you that later, how they're required for all activity in your body, whether it's carrying energy or digesting food or helping your body think. Like, these are all enzyme actions, and they need trace minerals to function. And if you're not getting them in your body, you're not going to function properly. That's why they have digestive enzymes that people take, right, to help aid in the digestion of food. So you want to get those enzymes in. Some other things that we talked about here, you can see it says branched chain amino acids. We want to make sure that those are coming into your body to help preserve muscle breakdown, especially when you're doing some longer events where muscle breakdown could potentially affect how well you can perform. Now, we want to break down our muscles during training, so you don't necessarily need to use them all the time, but there's more and more products coming out with BCAAs in them. And back when I was racing, they didn't have the quality of the branched chain amino acids that we could take now. They just had protein, and I found it really hard to digest. The products that are coming out today are much more effective. And then we've also got the beet juice, and this has been around for a long time. And beet juice is like a base training simulator. It allows your body to get the benefits that base training would give you, so you can perform better at the same heart rate, right? Or perform at the same level with a lower heart rate. So it's going to increase your capacity performance. And one of the other things I'm just looking at my notes here because I want to make sure I pick up on everything here and I don't miss stuff. One of the things that I'll do with my athletes, and I encourage you guys to do this as well, is before every race, write out your plan exactly the way you want to do it. So write down all the hours of the day, right? You're going to wake up 2 hours before the race, do -2, -1, 0. There's the race start. And then all the way down to the end of the race. And then exactly what do you plan on taking in through that day? If you don't do that, it's so easy during the race to get annoyed at your nutrition and decide you don't want to do it. And then an hour or so later, that lag time hits and bang, your muscles are cramping up. You're running out of energy. You're starting to overheat because you're getting dehydrated. You really want to focus on staying on track on that. And it's so easy to not do it. But it's like everything else that's so easy not to do. It's also very easy to do it. But if you write it out beforehand, there's your plan. And then right after that, there's going to be a column that you're going to write out when you've done the race. How did you feel? Because I want you to do the same thing. And I've had every athlete that's done an Ironman do that. That's 1,400 data points of people putting things into systems that are going to tell them exactly what they did through the race. Because after the race, I want them to go back. Is this exactly what you did? If it isn't, adjust it. And then exactly how did you feel? Were you upset? Were you pissed off? Did you feel good? Were you strong? Was your heart rate high? Was it leveled out? Like, what's going on? And write that down, because you're going to start to see patterns of what's working, what's not working. And one of the things that got me moving away from products that had a lot of artificial ingredients in them was seeing this happening time and time and time again with people. And I'm not naming any particular products, but some really good sports drinks that you can buy in any gas station around. People were using them because they're giving them out for free at races. They're just destroying people's events because they would start drinking those things. And sure enough, half an hour later, they're starting to get really upset stomachs because things are not working for them. And the reason I like keeping things really separate, and it started when I think it was Luc van Leerde he's a Belgian guy, and he did his first Ironman in Hawaii, and he killed everybody. And they asked him afterwards, what is it that you use? What's your secret to nutrition? He said, salt, water, and sugar. Because that's really all you really need. Get some branched chain amino acids in there to preserve some muscle tissue. But salt, water, and sugar is your main fueling systems that you're going to be bringing into your body. And when I use this, I'm going to have one of these little vials. You can't see me pointing at my screen. I'm pointing at my screen. But the little vial of capsules, a little vial of salts there, I'm going to have that in either the top of my tri shirt or the leg of my tri shorts. And that's where my electrolytes are going to stay for the day. Right? I'm going to have an extra bag of electrolytes taped to my seat post, just a zippy bag, because sometimes the wind catches you and you lose them all. That happened to me coming back from Hawaii in Hawaii one year, but I just reached back and grabbed this Ziploc bag of electrolyte capsules. I was good to go. And then I've got one bottle of fuel. It's that bottle that you see right there with the markings on it, and that's just down on my cage, so I can reach down and grab it as I'm in the aero position. I bring it back up. I take a drink. I put it back down. I'm good to go. That's it. The only thing I have to have extra from that is water. And I can get that anywhere on the course. It's exactly the same. I don't have to worry about what the race nutrition is, what the race electrolyte drink is, because I'm getting my electrolytes from capsules. Or in this case, if I was racing today, I'd be using a combination of capsules and base salts. And then I would be getting all my fuel from my bottle there. And you can have a spare one in your special needs bag if you want. I never did. I just never had a special needs bag because I never stopped. And then all the water I need, I'm going to grab at the aid stations. They have them every 10 miles usually. So I'll throw an empty bottle away, grab a fresh one. Throw an empty bottle away, grab a fresh one, right? And so that's more than enough water for me. If I grab one of those bottles every aid station, I only need one every 2 aid stations. And I'm going to get one every aid station. So I have access to twice as much water as I need. So I can even miss one if I wanted to. Right? So if I did miss one at an aid station, not a big deal. I'll just wait to the next one 10 miles down the road. I'm good to go. So this is such a simple nutrition plan or fueling plan for your bike. It's going to be so easy to follow. Try it out though. I've even had people panicking because whatever they're doing is not working and they're like a week out from a race, and I have them dial this in, think about what they think they need in terms of electrolytes and fuel, and it works. It works way more often than it doesn't work. So if you're worried about your nutrition, try this. Ideally, try it in training so you don't have to worry too much about it. So let's carry on, because I really wanted to spend a bunch of time onto that, but I don't want to sort of belabor the point. Hydration is so important. Just a 3% decrease in hydration is going to affect your strength by 10% and your speed by 8%. That was a study out of Ball State University, Indiana, quite a while ago. And that's pretty impressive how much time you're going to lose, right? So I'm about a 30-minute 10K runner, or I was, and that's 2 minutes over 10K. That's a massive amount of time. I don't want to be laying that out there, right? So water is so important. And these are just simple things that you can do to dramatically improve your performance. Like, how much money do people spend on equipment that's carbon fiber, so it's a little lighter, right? Where they can get an 8% increase in speed just by making sure their body's hydrated. If you don't, then you should have a hydration scale. So a scale at home that measures your body percentage of water, right? Or percentage of hydration. So we have one here in the bathroom. I hop on. Guys are a little bit more hydration in them than women. I'm usually about 63 to 64%. So if I drop down to 61, 62, 60, I know I'm getting dehydrated way more than I want to. So I'm going to make sure that I'm going to get this hydration back on track. So as you can see, that a lot of the components of our body are very high in water. Even bones, 22%. That's awesome. So if somebody wants to make sure they maintain good bone flexibility so they're not getting bone fractures, right, or stress fractures, make sure you're hydrated, because you're much more likely to get stress fractures if your bones are brittle, because they're not pliable, right? Even though bones are very hard, they still have the ability to be pliable. We want to make sure that that's something that's going to allow them. Geez Louise, just a second. That was me shutting off that little pop-up thing. Okay, here we go. So we want to make sure you're hydrated, basically. That's the big takeaway point there. And sleep, this is key, because recovery is the king. If you're not recovering, it doesn't matter how hard you train, you're not going to be able to get the most out of your training. And the big thing here is understanding that recovery is happening all the time. So we train hard and then we take a break, right? We go to sleep at night. And you want to make sure you get into a deep sleep. You might be in bed all night, but if you're not getting into that deep REM sleep where your body's going to release a lot of growth hormone to repair your system, you're suffering. So we want to make sure we get into enough sleep in terms of volume, but we also want to make sure we get into a deep enough sleep so we get the quality. So we want quality and quantity. That's really important. And one of the things that I remember hearing, I can't remember where I heard it from, is every hour that you go to sleep before midnight is like having 2 hours of sleep afterwards. So if you're just telling me that you're so busy that you can't sleep, and I remember telling my athletes this over the years, it's better to go to bed as early as you possibly can and get up earlier, because you're going to get a higher benefit from the sleep that you get before midnight, because our bodies are designed to work on that circadian rhythm. When the sun goes down, we're supposed to start winding things down. But in today's society, with electronic lights and things on TV, we can stay up all hours of the night and go to sleep, and it's not good for your health. It's not good for your recovery process. You really want to focus on that. So these are some of the things. So we get into the nutrition component, which is what I'm really passionate about these days, as you can tell. And one of the things I want you to focus on is what eating well is going to do for you. And I don't want you to think eating healthy is the absence of eating crappy. It's not. Eating healthy is being very intentional with what you're putting in your body and the quality of the nutrition in it. I just got very frustrated with what was available, because going into the grocery store, I see all these great fruits and vegetables around, but I also understand they're very deficient in nutrition. There's way less things in there than I think there should be. And they need to be nutritionally dense. So much food today is calorically dense, but nutritionally deficient. And you can't tell from looking at something. And I got a study of what we're going to bring up in a bit that's going to indicate why that's the case. And some of the things that we can do about it are going to bring into the call later. But this is just some of the things, by eating better, you can start to bring into your system. And this makes me excited, because there's always opportunities to improve. When I work with people and they tell me that they aren't doing all these other things that are going to improve their performance, it gives me an opportunity to really help them. And I love knocking an hour off somebody's marathon time just by tweaking their technique a little bit, helping them run a bit more efficiently, and getting them to recover better, dropping a bit of excess body fat or a lot, and then helping them improve their strength to weight ratio, because they're building muscle as well. So let's start talking about eating better by not eating, because one of the things that works extremely well for helping people really improve their performance in terms of a physiological sense is to really go into the system that's been practiced for thousands of years by millions of people, called fasting. We do it every single night, so there's no reason to panic. Right? Every single night, everybody stops eating, right? That's why they call it breakfast. You're breaking the fast in the morning. You're not going to die if you don't eat every couple of hours. Hunger is not an indication of death. You can stop panicking. So one of the things that we really want to think about is that this fasting concept has been happening for a long time, and your body needs to do it in order to get the most out of what you're doing outside of that. When you're doing all this training, you're creating a lot of stress on your body. Your cells have a natural life cycle. They're going to grow, they're going to get weak, and they're going to die. I personally don't want weak, inefficient, damaged cells in my body. I want to go through things that are going to help me get rid of them. And one of the best ways to do that is through intermittent fasting. There's a process called autophagy and macrophage, where your body's going to go through and find old inefficient cells, and it's going to destroy them. And it's going to take the energy from that and recycle that, give you the energy. So you're going to have more energy than you've ever believed you could have. And it's going to start to create new, fresher, healthier, more vibrant cells. Those are the things that I want to have in my body. Right? And at the very bottom of the screen here, you can see a website address that I've given you called intensivedietarymanagement.com. This is a gentleman out of Toronto, named Jason Fung. He's a nephrologist, so he deals with a lot of diabetes patients. So really balancing into blood sugar balance, which is great for athletes to figure out how to deal with. So he's working a lot on insulin and helping people burn body fat in a healthy way. I hear burning body fat now, and I think accessing fat for fuel. So if I can control that and teach my body to access fat more effectively, then I can reduce my reliance on carbohydrates when I'm racing and training hard. And that's what fasting is really going to do for you. But it's also going to dramatically improve your immune function. And for most athletes, it's a big issue for them, because they're going to get into a race event where they're usually going in the biggest and most important races are the ones that you have to fly off to. And quite often, that's when their immune system is the most compromised. So they get off to these races and they get sick on the way there. And inevitably, I get these phone calls from my clients, and they're panicking because they're sick like 5 days before the race, and they know they're going to be a mess come the race. So we want to make sure that people are, cranking up that immune system. I'm going to bring Michelle onto the call in a minute. And she's going to talk about her experience from getting sick all the time, and then just how improving her nutrition is going to dramatically improve her immune function and how it's going to help her stay stronger. So you can see, I'm not going to read stuff that's on the screen. You guys can read that on your own. And it's just doing fasting is so important. And you can do it in terms of a certain number of hours per the day, right? Wake up, drag that overnight fast for as long as you can. I know I saw James McAllister here on the line, and I was talking with him in Vegas not long ago about how he focuses in on his eating on a certain number of hours through the day, 4 or 5 hours through the day, and he eats what he wants and as much as he wants through that period of time. But the rest of the time of the day and night, he's not eating anything. He's fasting, and it puts his body into a ketogenic mode, and he's just building muscle like crazy and feels awesome. So you can do that. Play around with it. Fast for a day or 2 or 3. I'm going to do a 2-day fast tomorrow and the next day. Michelle's doing a 3-day. She's doing today, tomorrow, and the next day. It's going to dramatically improve her stem cell production and really improve her immune function and just do so many amazing things for her body. A great thing here you can see as well is your growth hormone is going to increase dramatically on a 1 or 2 day fast. And that's so important for taking your performance to that next level. So, where everybody's so focused on eating all the time, I'll have Michelle go out on a cleanse day or a fasting day, and she'll go out and crank out a 2.5 hour bike ride and transition into an hour run, come back, recover a little bit, rehydrate, and then get back out there and hit the swim pool for 2,500 yards or something. Just crank out a speed workout out. You can work out, but you have to teach your body how to access fat for fuel. And so many people are so focused and intent on burning carbohydrates, they have a hard time accessing that fat. And that's why they're eating all the time, because their body's looking for that energy. So you want to give it an opportunity to go in and burn that fat. And that's what this is going to do. Okay, so let's get into performance nutrition. We talked earlier about training, breaking your muscles down. It's your nutrition that determines how well you're going to build that back up, though. And nutrition is not your energy. It's not your carbohydrates that you're going to use for your fuel. It's going to be what you're going to be getting into your body to allow it to recover. Right? So I'm going to go over a system later that I've been using for about 10 years from now. Now, some people may want to do it all on their own, so I'm going to give you as much information here as you possibly can to do things. Wherever possible, go with organic. I know it costs more money. I was spending a ton of money on organic products before. Range-fed meat. There's so much crap in food today. It used to be that we could shop the perimeter of the grocery store and everything was fresh. There was not as many chemicals or pesticides or herbicides, steroids, hormones, antibiotics, GMO foods. All that stuff wasn't really available for what we were getting years ago. But now, because of just the cost of production and everybody's trying to make a profit, you very rarely see foods that don't have that in it. And there's so many products that you'll buy, even sports performance products. There's a lot of products that you can buy direct from companies or off the store shelves. They're just laced full of sucralose and artificial ingredients and flavorings and sweeteners and low quality protein. They're not beneficial. They might work, right? There's some products out there that work to help you perform better, but they're not healthy. So I really encourage people to try and be as healthy as possible. And our bodies need essential nutrients. There's about 60 that your body needs every single day that it can't produce. And if you're not getting it from the food, then those hours, minutes, seconds of the day that you're not getting those nutrients into your body, you're always getting cellular regeneration, right? There's been billions of cells have regenerated in my body since I've been doing this talk. And if you're not getting constantly great nutrients into your body every single day, then those cells that are regenerating are being regenerated in a poor quality. So if you want to have high energy, you want to be vibrant, you want to be strong and muscular and be able to do things like you did in your 20s and 30s, you need to eat better because it gets harder the older you get. So you really want to focus on your nutrition. It's so important. And like I mentioned earlier, eating healthy isn't just not eating crappy, right? Eating healthy is not eating nutritionally deficient foods. You really want to focus on getting foods that are going to give you the highest bang for your buck. And most foods today are so deficient in nutrition because nutritious foods and protein-rich foods, clean protein that's really bioavailable for your body, it's very expensive. And if that company that you're buying from that food from, if they want that in the food, they have to pay for it, either in the manufacturing or the growers. It's got to come from somebody, and they're going to pass the cost on to you. And they're in competition with all these other people out there who don't really care about the nutritional quality of your food. So they're going to start to knock down the amount of nutrients coming into food. And it's just the process of selling products to people. So you really want to be really your own advocate here as well to make sure you're getting really high quality food into your body. Okay, so let me just catch up here with where I'm at on my notes so I make sure I'm not missing anything here. Okay, so this is one of the things that's really important for me is protein. I'm not going to go not protein. I'm not a vegan. I eat a lot of vegetables and raw foods, but I still eat meat. This kind of disturbs me because I eat a lot of protein. I eat up to about 1 gram per day of my body weight. I'm about 180 pounds. So I'm usually between 140 and 180 grams of protein coming in a day to help me recover from the training that I'm doing and the weightlifting that I do. I'm about 185 now. Back when I was racing, I was 158. And I am not that. I have not put on a lot of fat. I've put on a lot of muscle because I focus on some good clean proteins that I'll talk about in a bit. But just be cognizant of what you're eating. So I eat a lot of organic meats. I do not eat farmed fish because that's the thing that's sort of floating through my mind is that picture. So just be cognizant. I'm not going to tell you what to do or how to eat meat or not eat meat, but just be cognizant of what's coming in to your body. On the long term, it's going to be a lot more beneficial for you to make sure that you're getting good, clean, healthy as possible protein into your body because we are proteins and we need proteins coming into our body. And there's a lot of people moving towards plant-based proteins. I think animal-based proteins are more bioavailable and better for our body. That's my opinion. Everybody else is going to have a different opinion. Again, I'm not a nutritionist or a biochemist. I don't want to be. But for me, it's important to get good quality animal proteins into my body. I use a lot of whey protein concentrates. I don't eat as much meat as I used to. So that's one thing. I do eat plant-based proteins. I remember walking into a grocery store a couple weeks ago, and I don't look like the normal Texan down here. I'm pretty lean. I was just looking around like I was kind of looking for something, and the lady at the store walked up to me and she said, "Are you looking for the plant-based protein aisle?" And it's like, that's an awfully odd question to ask me. She said, "Well, you just look like you would be that kind of person." I was like, okay, I'll assume that's a compliment, whatever. So this is a great slide, and I got this from Jane Duthie, a lady in my team who's an amazing exercise physiologist and nutrition guru. I get a lot of information from Jane, and I love watching her posts. And she found this a long time ago. And Bill Meisner is the co-founder of Hammer Nutrition. And he did this study, so go Google it and find it. There's pages and pages of it. He actually shows the study that he compared all of the products to. And what he did is he came up with this, I guess the conclusion that there's never been a single study that documents what a balanced diet is, first of all, and certainly one that meets all your body's requirements. And when you see the study, you're going to see all the list of plant-based products, plants, and fruits and vegetables that he analyzed for what was actually in them. I couldn't believe how I eat healthy. I couldn't believe all the great nutrients or nutritional products that were in there. And even that still was far deficient from the recommended daily allowance. And RDA is not something that's going to make you live an optimal healthy life, especially as an athlete. So if a diet like that is so deficient in nutrition, then there's the conclusion for me is I need to supplement my food somehow. And that's what this is actually going to do for me. So for me, I'm going to make sure that I'm going to get supplementation into my system. But if you do it, make sure it's whole food supplementation, because there are a lot of studies out there that show if you're actually going to be getting synthetic supplements into your body, they're not healthy for you. They're actually going to do more damage than good because they're coming into your body at a toxic amount. This is another great concept I got from Jane, and I'm just going to explain what you see here. So on the left-hand side, we've got crap foods, stuff that's actually bad for you, trans fats, artificial ingredients, dyes, chemicals, things like that, preservatives. And if you hang out in that zone, you're going to be sick. There's just no question about it. It might take a little while, it might take a long time. You're not going to be healthy. And every once in a while, you can reach up into the okay foods things, kind of the normal food. It's not going to pull you out of being a crappy food person. It's not going to pull you out of sickness because you're rooted in sickness. It's going to take consistent effort in the okay food section to have your health be not that. I don't want to be there either. I want to be all the way over in the optimal food section. I want to have extraordinary health. I'm 50 years old now. I don't feel it. I don't look it. I'm probably pretty sure I don't act it. So for me, I want to make sure I'm hanging out in extraordinary health, eating mainly optimal foods for my body. So foods that are going to give me optimal health. And then by being there, I'm rarely, very rarely going to get down to the crappy food section. But every once in a while, I'm going to reach down and I'm going to go to okay foods. I'm going to have a hamburger. I'm going to have some fries. I'm going to have a beer, right? I'm going to have some wine. Because I hang out in optimal foods, I'm not going to get pulled down to being not bad with my health. Does that make sense? You want to make sure you root yourself in a particular area, because you can go out from there and not get pulled out of that. I want to hang out in that section and stay there. So as Jane mentioned, we live somewhere on that continuum. So at one end, we got sickness, the other end, extraordinary health. I want to hang out over in extraordinary health because I want to be vibrant and vital and strong and healthy for as long as possible. I don't want to be unhealthy in any way. Okay, so this is the thing here. When very quickly too, I want to talk a little bit about acidity, because acidity is really important when it comes to athletics. Because if we're acidic, your body's going to maintain a pH. It's not like your blood's going to get acidic, and because you would die if that happened. But if your body is tending towards acidity, what happens is your body has to buffer that acidity, and it's going to pull nitrogen out of your muscles. It's going to pull calcium and other minerals out of your bones. Your bones are going to get weak. Your muscles are going to get weak. You don't need to be there. Choose more alkaline products. So green leafy vegetables, green products, healthy foods, limit things that are going to be acidic. So there's so much information online. Go there. I could put slide after slide. I just pulled them all out for this presentation because I'd be talking all night. But you want to really focus on having more alkaline forming foods in your body. And then omega fatty acids are so important too for your body to really help it improve energy production, insulin sensitivity. Those are really important. Oxygen transfer, helping your body produce hemoglobin. For athletes, that's so important. Just making sure you're getting a lot of extra omega fatty acids. I know when I was packing on about 20 pounds of muscle over a few months, when I decided I didn't want to be a lean little runner anymore, I took 3 extra omega fatty acid capsules in the morning and another 3 at night. And that really helped, along with some really good quality bioavailable protein, bring in a lot of lean muscle tissue into my body. So that was important for me. Okay, so this is Michelle, and Michelle Galvine. You saw her earlier if you got on the line a little earlier. She is just a very busy lady. She just got promoted to district chief from the Houston Fire Department. So I'm going to read a little bit here. She's an Ironman triathlete. She's a mother of 2 girls, very busy lady, gets up about 4 o'clock in the morning every day to go work out. And she reached out to me last December to help her with her fueling. So this is a picture of her last October. The end of October on the left, back in 2015. Same running shoes in both pictures. And then this is her at Galveston Half Ironman at the very beginning of April here. And she reached out to me, maybe a month or 2 after the picture on the left, because she was having a hard time with her fueling. She was bloated, inflamed, not feeling good, not recovering from workouts. And we worked on her fueling. I talked to her a little bit about intermittent fasting and doing some cleansing to get the impurities out of her system and change up her nutrition, which is what we're going to talk about next. And she laughed at me because, in Michelle's words, she doesn't not eat. And it took a little bit, actually a lot of convincing to get her to focus in on these other ways of dialing in her nutrition. But the fueling concept that I shared with her earlier worked so well for her in the Houston Marathon and some other races that she was doing around there. She decided to listen to what I was talking about with the nutritional aspects, and it's just completely transformed her performance, her physique, and everything else. So I'm going to bring Michelle into the line. Michelle, come on over. Awesome. So I'm not sure if people can see you, but I imagine they can. So Michelle, I've got some questions here because I wanted to make sure I get all this. So tell us where you were at the beginning of, when we started to work together. What was going on in your training, your recovery? How did you feel before, we started working on all that?
I was at the point when I reached out to Steve, I was just so frustrated because I'd been training so hard, but no matter how much I trained, it just seemed like each year, each month, I was getting a little more and more bloated, feeling in that midsection. The only time that I would actually get really leaned out would be about a day before an Ironman, and then it would immediately come back on within a week. I was getting sick all the time. Anytime my training stress level would go up, I would come down with whatever cold or virus or bug that the kids would bring home from school. I just couldn't stay healthy. And usually that would be right before a big race. So it was really frustrating.
And then when we got you going on the fueling system, so we changed your fueling, sort of separated things out, sort of took all those other products away. So you kept the base salt because you love that, and just concentrated the fueling and then just split up from water. How did that change things?
For race fueling, that was a real game changer. I found it so easy to have everything separated so I could adjust things during the race. If it was a really hot race and I needed to increase my electrolytes, I could do that without having to take in extra calories, because before I had everything mixed into one bottle. So if I had to increase one or decrease one, it would affect everything. And then I was able to carry less weight on the bike, which was awesome because I could just do the water bottle handoffs at the aid stations. So that was great too.
And then, so when we got through that, we started talking about fasting and changing your nutrition, getting, different quality shakes and things into your system, doing some nutritional cleansing. What was your first thoughts when I brought that up for you? So,
like you mentioned, I laughed because anybody that knows me or has worked with me knows that I like to eat, and I rarely would go more than a couple of hours without having something to eat. And I was one of those people that if I missed one of those snacks or meals, then I would get real irritated and shaky and just didn't feel good. So the idea of not eating for a day was really laughable. I think I really laughed at him on the phone.
You did, actually.
Yeah.
And then, so once we started getting more nutritionally dense foods into your system, doing some intermittent fasting days, what did that do for your physique? What did it do for your performance? What did it do for your mood, energy? Like, how did it change things up?
Well, I noticed within a week I was feeling better. And then when I did, after about a week, I did my first set of fasting days. I thought I was only doing one day starting out.
Yeah.
He didn't tell me it was going to be a 2-day thing, but I felt with the support I was getting through the nutrition he introduced me to, I didn't get shaky after missing a meal. I realized I was going to survive a day. I'd read up on all the benefits of fasting because I wasn't going to just take his word for it. And I felt like the benefit I was going to get would be worth it. So I went into it. And after that first day, I just noticed that transition in the energy systems. I could feel it overnight when I just started going into that fat burning mode. And I had so much energy. I felt so good the next day. When he did call me up the night before my second day and say, "Oh, I want you to do a second day in a row," I still laughed a little bit, but said, "I think I can do this." And I felt fantastic. My energy levels were so high. I felt better. I couldn't believe the transition in just 48 hours. I lost all that inflammation I'd been carrying. That bloating just disappeared. I lost several inches even after my first fasting days, just off of my waist and my hips where I'd been carrying all that extra weight.
You felt stronger, lighter.
Fantastic.
That's cool. Well, Michelle, good luck in your race next weekend.
Yeah.
And Ironman Florida at the beginning of November. So
I'm excited.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks so much for your words. It's awesome. Okay, so the system that I've been talking about, I mentioned I'm going to be using a system and talking a little bit about that I've got Michelle on, and a lot of people have been asking her about, and the reason I'm doing this call tonight to talk a little bit more about it, not just the fueling component and eating healthier, which people can certainly do. I just found that it took a lot of effort, a lot of energy, a lot of time, and certainly a whole lot more money. And it still didn't work as well as what I tried out here. And the system I've been using for the last 10 years now is called Isogenics. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. So if you're not interested in hearing about that, then the next part of this call is not going to be very much of interest to you. But for me, it's been life-changing, not only in terms of my own health, my own energy, for people like Michelle that I've been coaching, because it's dramatically improved their results and their recovery. And as I mentioned earlier, recovery is the king. If you can recover faster, you're going to be able to do harder workouts more often. You're going to get more out of your training. Your body's going to respond better, and it's going to be healthier. And there are products out there like Isogenics. Some of them are similar, and they're healthy, and a lot of them aren't. So really do your research. Personally, if I see soy in anything, or if I see sucralose or aspartame or any artificial ingredients, sweeteners, flavorings, preservatives, I'm just moving past, because to me that is not a health system. So for me, Isogenics is where I'm going to use my energy and put my energy into sharing that with people, because I've just seen dramatic improvements in people's health and their performance from these systems. So we're going to jump into that. So 7 reasons athletes use Isogenics. I benefit from all of these, and I just love what it's actually doing for people. It includes intermittent fasting. So isogenics is really intermittent fasting that's amped up with this cleansing process that also takes impurities out of your system. It converts them from a fat-soluble form to a water-soluble form so you can eliminate them through peeing them out of your system. And by doing that, you're making the fat cells more available for fuel. That's actually that's that single component that initially got me interested in isogenics, is hearing that I could access fat more effectively as a fuel source. That's what got me jazzed about it. And then all these other benefits started to fall into place when I started sharing this with people. So, it's kind of like weight loss. If people just focus on losing weight, but they don't focus on their health first, and the weight loss just happens, then they're still unhealthy, and that weight's going to come back. And it's the same thing if we're looking at athletes. If they don't focus on their health as a foundation for their performance improvement, they can do things to improve their performance, like train, right? But that they're always going to get dragged back to the fact that they're not healthy. So I always encourage people to get as healthy as possible with great building blocks and micronutrients and macronutrients into their system so they can get the most out of the training that they're doing. So let's take a look at the isogenic systems. First of all, isogenics is not a drug, thank goodness. It does not treat, cure, prevent, or diagnose any disease or condition. It is just food. It's going to give your body what it's looking for to be the miracle it was designed to be. And it's your body that gets healthier, that's creating all these positive changes in your body. So why is isogenics different? John Anderson is probably the reason. He's a nutritional formulator, a master herbalist, and a master formulator. He's been working for decades for other companies before he even started isogenics. And in fact, over 600 companies, developed over 2,300 different products. He's one of probably the world's foremost formulators. He was worth about $100 million before he started isogenics. He was just sick and tired of making products inexpensively for other companies, and he wanted a product line that was going to be no compromise. And that's why he started isogenics. So these are all the products I use every single day. I love this stuff. So we're going to talk individually about these. The Ionic Supreme is a B vitamin drink. It's got a lot of adaptogenic herbs that help my body adapt to the training stress that I'm taking it through. The shakes, I use the Isolene Pro, and the dairy-free shakes regularly. I'll use probably the Isolene Pro the most. I typically have 2 to 3 of those every single day, and probably a bar. So a few of my meals every day are going to be from isogenics. It's the cleanest quality I can find, cleaner than any food I'm going to find in any restaurant or grocery store, because I know isogenics has got my health and best interests in mind. I don't have that same level of comfort or feeling when I go into a grocery store, because they sell garbage in grocery stores that shouldn't be there if I'm focusing on my health. So why should it be any different when I'm in any other areas of that store? So I'm going to look for my nutritional products from a company like Isogenics. It's going to give me all the micronutrients that I need. They're extremely expensive. If I'm going to go buy them somewhere else, it's going to give me that clean, quality, bioavailable protein that I'm going to get from Isogenics at a very inexpensive price. So I'm going to get an Isolene Pro shake. It's going to cost me about $4. I'm going to have a few of those every single day. If I wanted to create that same level of meal from making the food, it would take me way longer. It would cost me between $15 and $20. So I save a ton of money because I'm not going to skimp on my health. I want that high quality food, but I'm going to get it from Isogenics because it's a lot less expensive, because their buying power is massive and they don't have to go through a middleman, because that grocery store is just a retail environment. So cleansing drinks, we're going to talk a little bit about those, and some of the AMP products. We'll just jump into them. So we got the shakes here. This is called the Weight Loss President's Pack. I actually get a lot of my athletes to get started. Even though it says weight loss, I actually gained weight doing the program because I just ate more. But I still want people to get going on this because it's a massive input of nutrition and protein into their system, and you're going to have the cleansing products. The two jars at the bottom there with the black lid, that's our Cleanse for Life product. It's a mineral infused drink. It's a base of aloe vera, so it's very gentle on your body, and it's a great anti-inflammatory. So it's going to give your body a very nutritionally balanced support system so it can help your organs, particularly your liver, convert these fat-soluble toxins into a water-soluble form and get rid of them from your body. The Ionic Supreme, you can see it's there as the red lid. The shakes we just talked about, it's a organic whey protein from New Zealand primarily, is where they get that. And it's amazing. I love that. It tastes great as well, which is a bonus. The Ageless Essentials with Product B, that's a multivitamin pack, amazing for athletes. There's a couple products in there that are really specific. Comes with the omega fatty acids. The Ageless Actives is a CoQ10 resveratrol and vitamin D3 product, which is amazing. And our Product B is a super antioxidant blend that helps protect our cells from aging at a cellular level. So I love that system there. This whole pack here is about $20 a day, and it's a great pack for people to start with. And then the next month, they typically go on to a maintenance plan. So I love this for the simplicity. It's synergistic. You don't have to worry about, well, what products should I just get something like this. You can get basic packs for about $10 a day. They're probably half the size of that come with the cleanse, the ionics, and the shakes. They just don't come with the vitamins or the extra snacks or the blender. So you can save money on that. So we're going to talk later about how to find out a little bit more about this. This is the AMP line. I'm pretty jazzed about this. This is our performance pack. You can see this is great to focus on for performance. So if you want to dive right into that and you're not too focused on the intermittent fasting and getting toxins out of your body, which I don't know why you wouldn't be, but if you're a little hesitant on that, this system here is great. There's a number of variants of this system, but this is an amazing product. I use all of these every single day as well. And this is great for just giving your body what it needs. We've got a nitrous oxide blend in here. That's the AMP NOx. That's that beet juice, red spinach, and celery. I love what that does for my heart health, right, in terms of cardiovascular flow and improvement. I take one of those every single morning. The AMP Fuel has got a branched chain amino acids, applesauce, basically, infused applesauce, and I'm going to have that as a gel during workouts. So that's great to take in conjunction with the CarboPro that I use when I'm looking for more energy. E Plus Shot is a great pre-workout drink. It's got some organic green tea and yerba mate, so there's a bit of caffeine in that. So it's like a really healthy version of 5-hour energy. AMP Recover and Power, I actually mix those together about half hour before a workout, and that helps me preserve muscle tissue and start to recover better, increases blood flow, and it gives me more strength. So I like that. And we've got some of the Replenish down at the bottom right, which is actually called Hydrate now. So that's a great product as well. Talking about protein requirements, so I'm about 180 pounds, so I'm right in the middle there. I'm not eating 5 chicken breasts or 25 eggs every single day, but it's really easy for me to get Isolene Pro into my body, so I'm going to have a few of those and some meat. So I still eat normal meat and I have normal meals. But these numbers here are assuming that the bioavailability of all these proteins are the same. And chicken breast is about 30% bioavailable. Eggs is about 60% bioavailable. The Isolene Pro is actually 90% bioavailable because of the digestive enzymes. They're already in the shake. So you can triple the number of chicken breasts if you want to compare it to the same availability of protein that you see there in the Isolene Pro shake. So chunk that chicken breast up to 15. I'm not eating 15. I'm not eating 5 chicken breasts a day. I'm sure it's not eating 15. And I'm not going to multiply the eggs by another 50%. So I'm not going to eat 3 dozen eggs a day. I'd rather have 4 shakes, right? Or 3 shakes and some chicken breast, or 3 shakes and some eggs in a wrap. Like, I got to think practically. Just because it's impossible to do that much or too expensive doesn't mean you don't need to do it. So it's really important to focus on good quality, clean protein. The vitamin pack that I told you about earlier, that Ageless Essentials, that's all the nutrients that I'm getting in my body every time I take that. So to me, that's so important. It's a no-brainer to just get some nutrients into my body. Everything Isagenix has is whole food based. They make some fermentations and concentrates and extracts to get the quality of the concentration of the nutrition up. But it's all natural processes and products. And then you can see the little vitamin packs there on the bottom. Isagenix is so affordable. It is food, so it's going to replace things that you're already spending money on that are typically not helping people. I was already pretty healthy when I came into Isagenix. This just took things to another level. For a lot of people, they're looking for a solution because what they're doing isn't working. They have a 30-day money-back guarantee with the product, so you can buy any pack that you want, spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars, use it for the whole month, and if you're not happy with the results, call them up at the end of the month and get all your money back. I love that because I can feel really comfortable sharing these systems with people and not having to worry about them feeling like it didn't work for them for whatever reason. So number of different systems. Here's the basic packs a lot of people get started on. So we've got the weight loss program up at the top left. That's that 30-day system. The energy system, if you want to focus more on improving your energy through the day. So we got the E Plus shots, the ionics, getting better sleep. There's some sleep spray in there. I see that. Some coffee. We have a very organic, healthy version of coffee. Our performance systems on the bottom left. You already saw that slide. And our healthy aging and telomere support system. Some people are not too concerned about performance or energy or cleansing. They just want to age in a more healthy way. And that's what we've got there on the bottom right. So there's the last slide. Just if somebody sent you to this call tonight and they're curious about Isagenix or they're in Isagenix, go back to them and get more information from them for that. If they're not in Isagenix, I've got my contact information here. I'm going to leave this up for a bit. I'm going to pull it off actually, I guess we can just stay on the screen here. I'm just going to open up the lines to get onto some, let's see, where are we here? Let me pull it off mute, and all our participants are unmuted. So if you have any questions, I'll stick around for a little bit to answer those for people. If you are interested in getting more information on the isogenic system, for sure, reach out to us. If you don't know anybody that's doing it, reach out to me. I'd be happy to help direct you to somebody in the team or work with you myself and be able to help you identify some options that might work best for you. And if you've got questions in terms of athletics, coaching, or you're just learning a little bit more about how to fuel better, get some clarity on what we talked about tonight, for sure shoot me an email or text me and we can hook you up there. I like to connect with people, so if we're not friends on Facebook, shoot me a Facebook friend request. Let's get connected that way as well, because I love to hang out with people on Facebook and learn stuff. I learn stuff as much from people as they learn from me. So anyways, the lines are open. Does anybody have any questions that we can help answer or clarify from tonight's presentation?
I do, Steve. Can you hear me?
And I heard there's some questions on the chat. I should probably, let me pull off the share thing here. And I will go find that.
I have a question, Steve. I don't know if you can hear me or not.
Okay. I'm probably going to have a hard time scrolling back through all of these comments here. So if anybody has any questions, reach out.
Hey, Steve, can I make a
question? And I'd be happy to help answer that. So.
If you could remute the lines and just have the talker unmute.
Can you hear me, Steve?
Oh, I can't hear you.
Hey, Steve.
Just a second.
Okay.
Hey, Steve.
I'll just take 1 second. My computer's coming back on. Okay, go ahead. Yep.
If you could remute the lines and just have the talker speak.
Okay, let me find. Okay, just 1 second. Okay, Dee.
Hi, thank you. My question is, when you use the CarboPro, I understood the concentration that you did in that one bottle, depending on your calories. Towards the end of our session here, you did share with me that you do use fuel as well. So how do you incorporate that with your CarboPro and fuel? Do you alternate it every 15, 30 minutes, or how would that work?
Yeah, I would typically use a lot of CarboPro. It's works out to be like 50 cents 100 calories. The fuel is maybe about $1.50. The CarboPro is just a lot easier. I'll just reach up, drink about 15, maybe an ounce of it, or maybe a little less than an ounce, maybe every 15 minutes. Whereas the fuel, I'm going to open up the pack and I've got to, get both hands available for that. So I'll probably go through a fuel once an hour, but it usually starts about 2 hours into the ride. So I'll use the CarboPro for the first half of the ride, and then I'll start getting into the fuel maybe an hour after that. Some people will use more. I like the CarboPro. It's easy. And I like the fuel. Here in Texas, it's hot, so that fuel, it's an applesauce blend, so it tastes like hot apple pie when I take it out on a ride. So, but I like both. They work well. It's just, to answer your question, you're just going to reduce the amount of CarboPro you're bringing in. Or if you know you're going to do the fuel, just put less of the CarboPro in the bottle, right? Maybe if you're going to take 4 fuels, put 4 less scoops of CarboPro in the bottle for that particular workout. And then just fill the water up as you normally would, and that concentration will be appropriate for having a gel every hour or 2.
Okay. And one last question. That was very helpful. Thank you. You had mentioned BCAA, and I know the fuel and another product, the recovery, has BCAA. Is just taking the fuel or the recovery is sufficient in regards to the amount of BCAA you need, or is there is it just like your calories? You need so many BCAA per whatever. Yeah,
you know what? I'm going to have a hard time answering that one specifically because everybody's different, right? There's 1,000 milligrams of branched chain amino acids in the fuel, and there's 6,000 in the recover. So, some endurance athletes are going to find that taking too much of the recover before a workout is a lot of BCAAs for them, so they might have a bit of a harder time digesting that. Might be better like the fuel, that's why it's less, and they're going to space that out over a longer period of time. I'm going to focus more on getting the protein in after the workout. So it's good for muscle, damage sparing during the workout to do that. but you're going to get that in more afterwards. I'm going to use more of an isoline shake with some ionic supreme in it after the workout. And that's going to give me what I'm looking for the recovery. That's why I use the recovery beforehand, right?
Okay.
And then I have a shake afterwards.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. You're welcome. Okay, anybody else have a question?
Hi,
Okay.
Steve. This is Tessie.
Hey, Tessie.
Hi. Just a question. The fasting and the weight loss pack that you suggested. Any concerns with doing that when you're doing distance training?
You know, what I would do is if you're focusing on what I would ask an athlete, and I went over today with actually another coach that I was talking with about getting going on this. And she was asking, you know, she's got a race coming up. I said, so what's more important to you? Losing 10 pounds, right? Or training hard? Like what do you think would be better for your performance? Losing 10 pounds or training hard for another week? She's, oh my gosh, losing 10 pounds would dramatically improve my performance. So I go, well, let's focus on doing that first, right? And it's going to cut into your training, but you can't do both at the same time. It's really hard to lose excess body fat and train hard effectively. So what I'm going to have somebody do is identify, okay, what weeks are you going to train hard, and then back off the training on a recovery week. So you train hard when you're training hard, then train easy, and then do those cleansing or fasting days during that easy period of training, right?
Okay.
Because then you can reduce your amount of intake of calories and not worry so much about being tired for workouts, because your performance in workouts isn't key. What's key is the cleansing or the fasting to access body fat and burn through that, right?
Or I mean, in a case, you know, where I'm just getting started. I mean, I'm 7 months ahead of a race. So I say I'm starting, but it's really just a base training.
Yeah, you're going to find that the program is going to work really well for you. I actually try and get people to, if they want to lose more body fat, I'm going to actually have them train less, because they'll lose more fat by training less because they don't have to fuel as much to support their training.
Yeah.
It's amazing how quickly it comes off when you address toxicity and acidity in your body, and your body can go in and more effectively and in a more healthy way, access that body fat and get rid of it as a fuel source, right? So it's burning it for energy. You can burn through some pretty good amounts of fat in a very healthy way without addressing toxicity and helping balance out your body. You have to revert back to the old adage of, 1 or 2 pounds a week is the most you should ever lose. Because if you lose more than that, you're either getting a diuretic going on in your body or you're accessing lean muscle tissue, which isn't healthy. Isogenics is such a high quality available protein. It actually puts muscle on. I gained 1/4 of an inch on my arms and legs and 1/2 an inch across my shoulders and back the 2 weeks that I did it. I lost the inch of fat around my waist, but I gained weight overall because I put on more muscle than I lost in fat. So it's a good health system. And that's why I like it. It's a health, performance, weight loss, healthy aging system. If Michelle, so if you get started on it, you're going to have access to me so we can get into the specifics of exactly how to fit it into your program. So,
Okay.
Awesome. Any other questions? Just pull yourself off mute. If you can't do that, just chat. I'm at the bottom of the chat here, so I can see if you're if you're trying to talk and you can't. Yeah. Valerie's saying she got yelled at earlier. So, yeah, Karen. Hey, Karen.
Okay, so I was looking at your slide. I thought that was fascinating with the 5 chicken breasts and the 2.7 Isoline Pro that you can have. So doing the math as a 120-pound woman, and I do 2 Isoline Pro a day and a bedtime belly buster every night. So that's 90 grams of protein. Mm-hmm. So that only leaves me with 8 left because I typically try to make sure that my snacks are high protein. Do I need to be that specific and really keep it? Okay. No,
you never need to be specific. Some people like numbers as a base, so I throw them there and then you just sort of work out from there. If you feel good and if you're at the weight that you want or you're moving in the direction of the weight that you want, then keep it going, right? Okay. And it never has to be this. I've never ever weighed food ever. Refuse to do it. If I have to do that, that's the wrong program, right? I want something that's simple, that works, it's easy, it tastes good, and it works fast.
So we talked really fast, and then I don't want to take up all the time, but we talked about my husband being, between the 180, 190, and mm-hmm. I think your slide was 4.7 Isoline Pros. That works out to. Are you just saying that's if you weren't eating other foods that day? Okay.
Yep. If all you do is isogenics, which I don't want you to do, right? I don't want you to eat real food. Just if you were just going to do isogenics, it would be that much. So let's say you want to do 2 shakes. Well, then you need, a certain amount of other foods as well to make up for it. So.
Okay.
And again, isogenics is just one product. It's the one I use. I like it. It's clean. It's really high quality. It works great for athletes. Michelle and I are both on Team Isogenics. She's on the athlete side. I'm on the coaches division. And there's so many amazing athletes. Like I'm talking to an Olympic-bound volleyball player tomorrow who's coming into our team because he's identified that this is one of the cleanest, most effective bioavailable foods he can find in terms of the protein that he knows that he needs, his body needs, and the micronutrients that it needs. It's an amazing food system that works for so many people in so many different ways, but it's simple to help them you learn how to use it because it basically starts the same way for everybody. Just get it in your mouth. Your body knows what to do with it. And then you can start tweaking around the amounts and timing to affect certain things and either add food in to gain muscle, right, to build up that lean muscle reserves that you've got. Or if you're trying to burn fat, then just cut back on the fat. Every pound of fat on your body is 3,500 calories. It's available for fuel. If you're putting it in your mouth, it's not coming off your butt. So if you want fat coming off your back, whatever, right, then you need to reduce the amount of energy that's coming in your mouth. But you still need those healthy nutrients, right? That's why diets suck, because people are already eating nutritionally deficient food, and then they start to reduce their intake of calories. They're getting even less nutrients into their body, and they're going to become even unhealthier, right? Their energy levels go down, their skin becomes issues, digestive issues pop up, their immune system takes a hit. So dieting is like an elite athlete training really hard. It just tears your body apart. You don't want to do it. So you want to flood your body full of better nutrition, not less. So dieting is just the worst thing in the world. But getting high quality, high nutritionally dense foods into your body with low calorie, that's not dieting. That's just smart eating, right? And then your body has lots of innate energy it can go in and get. We just want to make sure we start focusing it on that, doing that. And the cleanse days or fasting days certainly help with that. But that's a good question, Karen. Thanks. Okay, any other questions?
I'll ask one more if no one else has one.
Sure thing, yeah. Hi, Tess.
So early on when you talked about figuring out the calories when you're racing, so just give me an idea of what's the trial and error process.
It's brutal.
You feel sick? I mean, yes, it sounds like.
Yeah, you just jam in as much food and water and electrolytes as you can. Try and do them on different days, right? So today I'm going to keep my electrolytes the same and water the same, but I'm going to see how much calorie I can jam in. Right? And you're just going to get bloated. Right? Your stomach's going to get really big. You're going to feel like you're pregnant. It's going to be a lot of sloshing around. If you're racing a lot, you're going to see people like that. Starting in half Ironman distance, usually they're just miserable looking. They look like they're about to have a baby. And it's a lot of gas building up in your stomach, and stomach content's not emptying. And another day you might do a lot of electrolytes and start puking because the concentration of electrolytes is too high, or you're just jamming in too much water, same thing. Or even get hyponatremic because you're drinking way too much water and you're flushing too many minerals out. So that's how you're going to find that higher limit, and then the lower one's just going to it's not as dramatic in terms of how you feel. It's just brutal in terms of bonking because you just run out of energy and ability. So you start cramping with your muscles because you're not getting enough electrolytes. Maybe heat stroke, I guess, a bit because you're dehydrated and just bonking. I guess, yeah, that's bad too. So you're going to know the upper limit and the lower limit, and just pick a point somewhere in between. It's really simple to do. It's just the process is a little difficult. But once you get there, it's just so easy to use that during a race. You're never going to go to other stuff because it's just salt, sugar, and water is really all you're trying to bring in during the race. But teach your body through cleansing and fasting outside of it to more effectively, and part of your training too, if you're working with a good coach, they can help your body go in and access that body fat as a fuel source, because I don't want to say it's unlimited, but it's basically unlimited for people to access fat for fuel as opposed to carbohydrates that are in their system. Cool. Awesome. Any other questions?
David, can you hear me?
Yep.
My question is, like right now, unfortunately, I'm injured. So I've tried to pull back on my recovery.
Mm-hmm.
In regards to my consumption of calories. So would I just, just do my isolene shakes and just skip the isolene pro that has the extra protein, or should I just keep trying to get my protein in for my weight that you have put on that little screen? If you weigh this much, you should get this much protein, etc.
Yeah, I like to try and get more shakes in through the day. So if you're going to get a certain amount of shakes in, right, for the protein, it would be better to take, instead of say taking 2 shakes of Isolene Pro, it would actually be better to take in 3 Isolene shakes, because you can spread them out through the day and your body will react better to them.
Okay.
Okay, awesome. Piper?
Yes, hi. I would just like to hear your take on when someone says to me, like I actually had a woman say to me a couple hours ago, she needs to lose significant weight, like 60, 70 pounds. That what worked for her before was, I go into hot yoga and I go down to 600 calories a day, which is brutally, incredibly bad for the body. But how would you, I know what I said to her, I'd like to hear what you would say to her, what she needs to look at versus calories.
I would ask her, first of all, is your focus weight loss or getting healthier to lose weight, right? Like, are you concerned about your health, or are you not concerned about your health at all? Because I can't be concerned about somebody's health for them. They have to be. So I'll just ask them. I say, you can lose weight doing a number of different things, but most of them aren't healthy for you. So if you'd like to hear about how to be healthy and have energy and live longer and have less chance of diseases and such and issues later, and have a more vibrant energy in life, then I can help you lose fat that way. Or do you not care about that, right? Because the reality is you could just diet, go into a hot yoga class and you're going to lose weight, but it's not going to last, right? Because you can't do that forever. So I'm going to say, do you want long-term lasting healthy weight loss? If you do, I can help you, right? And we're going to talk about some things. I usually send people to that intensive dietary management site, because that's some doctor who's way smarter than me talking about the benefits of fasting and the myths associated with it and the reality. And so when people get, like I've talked to people about isogenics before and they're not interested in doing cleanse days, then I send them to those fasting articles and they're texting me as they're reading them going, oh my gosh, I need to do a fasting day, right? And then an hour later, oh my gosh, I need isogenics, because it's the better program for fasting, because it's going to support your body in a healthy way rather than just drinking water for a day or 2 or 3. So I'm going to ask somebody to focus more on the health aspects of it and the longevity of maintenance of where they get to, rather than just losing fat for a short period of time and not being able to maintain that. So, awesome. Any other last questions?
I have a question. Can you hear me?
I can, yep. Hey, Laura.
Oh, hi. Okay. I have my first half Ironman Sunday. And,
yay, congratulations in advance.
Thank you. And after hearing this, I'm embarrassed, actually, that I don't know this information. So I kind of want to just be prepared. I haven't been training with sodium at all, and kind of not sure how I've been getting through my workouts, not having all this extra sodium and sugar. So I do want to add some more in. I am totally happy to do that. I don't think it's going to bother me. I know it's really late to the game, but I wanted to see if you think what you think I should do as far as like how much. Do you think I should stick to like somewhere in the range that you?
No, don't do what I do. Yeah, because I'm going really hard out there and I'm much bigger than you. So if you did what I do, you'd feel really ill. So maybe about half that amount, right? If you did a few hundred milligrams of sodium an hour, that's going to be better. What I would do as well, though, and I should have mentioned this during the session, but I didn't, is I start taking that about a week before the race. I know it's already Thursday for you, right? But, so I would get some, go to a local running store tomorrow, if you don't have some already, and start taking a capsule in the morning, at noon, and at night for the rest of the days leading up to the race. So you're starting the race with your levels topped up. It's like eating carbohydrate-rich foods leading into the race. You want to make sure glycogen levels are as high as they can be going into the race so that you're not starving, right? Same thing with water. You don't want to not drink all week. You want to be well hydrated going into the event. It's exactly the same for electrolytes. So, don't worry about putting salt on your food. It's not going to kill you, right? Ideally, pink sea salt that's more natural than, the white table salt that you would normally find. Just make sure you're getting good electrolytes into your body. It's another reason isogenics is so amazing, is because it's so high in minerals. By using it on a regular basis, your body has a lot of minerals in it so that you're much less likely to suffer cramps when you're in a race because your body's going to draw more energy out of it naturally. But if you haven't been doing that for the last little while, or especially the electrolyte replacement, I would just get some capsules tomorrow and take a few a day leading up to the race, and then shoot for one every half hour through the event, and that should probably be fine.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. I appreciate
You're welcome. Cool. Awesome.
Yes,
Great
Stephen,
question.
Can you hear me?
I can. Hey. Yep.
Hey, I don't have like a big triathlon or something in the near horizon, but I would like to lose weight. So for somebody who's been given all this information, what's a good starting point?
Yeah, I would get hold of the person that sent you to the session tonight and ask them a little bit more about the Isogenics program and how that could fit into where you're doing. They should be able to come up with a training program for you that would work, or a plan of using Isogenics that can fit into any training program that you're using, rather. But I would always say the 30-day cleansing and fat burning program is an amazing place for anybody to start because it's so simple. It fits 2 shakes a day into your day. You still eat normal food just about every day of the month. And then for 4 days over the month, you can do a cleansing day or you can do it overnight. It's going to gradually start to release those impurities from your body and get your body focused more on burning fat. And it happens quickly. But you're also going to address Piper asked a good question about, somebody that just wants to lose weight. Well, this is not a weight loss or a diet program. It's a health system. So you're going to feel more energized. You're going to have more mental focus. You're just going to feel healthier and more vibrant very quickly. Like we've got a brochure that says just give it 4 days. You'll feel different in like 4 or 5 days. Right? And then you'll know pretty quickly whether you love this or not. And you can tweak it a little bit. So whoever gets you going on the program, just call them back and say, hey, this is how I feel. Am I on track? Right? Or they might say, yeah, what, are you doing this and this? Sometimes we mix up the ingredient or the instructions. So there's so many ways of fitting into your program, but that 30-day system is great for everybody to start with, whether you're trying to lose body fat or you're gain muscle or whatever, because it's a cleansing program. It's giving your body a lot of nutrients. So if you're trying to burn fat, don't eat a lot of extra food during the day. Just have your 2 shakes a day and a healthy meal, 400, 500, 600 calories. And if you're trying to build muscle and you're not worried about losing fat, well, then eat more. Like it's not a diet. It's just a nutrition program. So, sometimes people are coming in, they want to lose fat. I'll say, just add the products in for a week or 2. Just get used to them. I don't want you feeling hungry, right? Again, not a diet. So if you feel like you're hungry, eat something. And then gradually your body's going to start to respond and, have more energy and you're going to feel a lot better. So you don't have to worry so much about, this being a diet because you're going to need less input of energy because your body's better accessing that stored body fat.
Yeah. All right. Thanks.
Awesome. Any other questions, guys?
Sorry, I have another one.
That's okay, Dee. Yeah.
I'm learning so much tonight. This is really awesome.
That's okay. If people don't want to stick around, they can go, but I'll just stay on until we answer all the questions.
Okay, I promise. My last question. How close to a race, like a 70.3 or higher in regards to distance, can you cleanse? Do you recommend?
Awesome question. It's an awesome question. So Michelle's doing Kerrville Half Ironman next Sunday. And she's doing a 3-day cleanse ending on Saturday. So and that's going to be a whole week beforehand, but you can probably end a cleanse day probably 4 days before a race. You just need to do it enough time to replenish your glycogen stores because you're going to burn your glycogen down on the cleansing days. You just need enough days to replenish your glycogen. Again, it's not like you can store 10,000 calories of glycogen and it's going to take us a week to replenish that. You can only store 2,000 to 2,500 calories of glycogen in your system. You should be able to get that back into your body in 2-3 days. So I always just say give it an extra day. So 4 days out if you did that. Right, so finish the last day on Wednesday, then you've got Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then into Sunday would be plenty. For most people, I just say Saturday, Sunday, or even Sunday, Monday. You're so safe; you don't have to worry about anything then. But I have a lot of athletes after they've done it initially, because athletes they get all freaked out doing a cleanse day during their taper. If they've done their cleansing months out from the race, they know how amazing they feel. They want to do it regularly, especially in that taper leading into the race. So then I start looking at what's their taper, because for some people I'm going to have them gradually reduce their taper over 3 weeks, say for a full Ironman, or 2 weeks over an Ironman. And for others, I'll have them back off really quickly for 4 to 7 days, and then bring their training back up for 4 or 5 days, ending about 5 or 6 days out from a race, and then I'll back them off again. So sometimes it's tricky to figure out where to put the cleansing days in there. but it's an amazing thing to do. And then Michelle's been doing cleansing enough, not for that long, but she's been getting such great results. The last time she did a double cleanse day, she trained, we went out really hard, 2.5 hours on the bike. She did an hour run. And then, as I think I mentioned earlier, she did a 2,500 meter swim of an hour or so after that. And no fuel, like no energy input at all, no carbohydrates, no Carbo Pro, just drinking water and using the electrolytes during the bike ride and the run. And it was hot, right? Because her body's more effectively accessing fat now, which is what you want. So you can come up with this plan pre-cleansed, right, on what amount of carbohydrates your body needs, but your goal is to require less, right? So if you can access fat at a higher percentage, right, and a higher intensity level for longer during your training and your racing, you create an environment where you have much less of a chance of having digestive upset because you're putting less stuff in it during the race. Like the ideal would be to just go with water and electrolytes, right, and not have to have any input of fuel during the event. For a long sustained race, you're going to run out of glycogen, and you're going to have a harder time accessing that body fat. But that's your goal, and that's why Mark Allen functions so effectively. Like if you look at his times in Ironman decades ago, right? He kicked everybody's butt. Still, those times are unbelievable. They didn't have all the sports supplementation products that people are using today that they swear they have to do. He just taught himself through working with Phil Maffetone, who's a big expert in metabolic energy access, how to burn body fat. So he started off really, really easy in his base training, and he just got better and better and better, or faster, but got better and better and better at accessing fat as a fuel source. And Isogenics accelerates that process by getting rid of the impurities that the fat's holding on to, and this is in my opinion, so that it can make it more available as a fuel source at a higher intensity level when you're racing, which is really, as I mentioned earlier, that's what attracted me to it initially. And then I saw it was a performance system with all the quality of the protein and the minerals and the adaptogens. And that was 10 years ago before they came out with any of these performance products that the company has now. So it's going in such an amazing direction for athletes. And so when they came out with that amp line, that's when I joined Team Isogenics, because okay, now I got to be part of that, right? I was sharing it with people and helping people dramatically improve their health, helping them lose a massive amount of excess body fat, which allowed me to feel really good because I was really impacting people. And I've impacted people in more profound ways in the last 10 years of sharing these products than I have of 26 years of coaching people. So it's just, health is so much more important to me than fitness, because without health, you don't have fitness. You can't raise your fitness level that much. But with health, you can do so much more because you recover so much faster, and you can do harder workouts more often. And again, I'm 50, so that's important for me. Recovery is so key. I don't recover as much as I did when I was 20 or 30. So great question. So thanks for asking that. I forgot to mention that. So any other questions? Hey guys, awesome to have you all on the call tonight. Again, my name's Steve Bentley. So if you have any other questions, reach out to me. I will post this call recording up on my timeline at some point in time. You can catch hold of me. My cell phone number here in Houston is 872-252-3685. Feel free to text me, say hi. If you have any questions that come up in afterwards, I'm on Facebook as well, Stephen Bentley 2. That's Stephen with a V, Bentley like the car, Bentley number 2. And reach out, say hi, and look forward to catching up with you guys soon. Take it easy and have a great night. Bye.
Good night, everybody. Thank you for coming.
Bye.
Bye.